So to start off with, one of the things I want to talk to you about is obviously this is an adaptation of a novel that you really love, and this is something that you haven't really done before in your career. So I was wondering what's daunting about taking on this material that you really love and making sure that you do right by it.
Good question. No, it's very daunting because I respect the book so much and I respect Courtney. That was the only thing I knew. As even you're a writer, you can just take any material and make it your own and like spin it and do whatever you want, have confidence in it if you feel like you could. But with this book, I just didn't want to, I can't screw it up, especially for Courtney. She was on my mind a lot. Obviously, honoring Sloane and honoring the characters that she created and the story, which was very close to me, and I wanted to honor all this. So she was involved. Like I would write even before Sybil, the producer who really got this off the ground, who I admire so much. I would show Courtney drafts. Like I would finish a first draft, I would outline it, and I was devouring the book. I mean, the book I still have it. It's just like littered with notes and pages and rips and this to deduce it to what I would want it to say. And then I would send her. I was so nervous. I was more nervous of that than the premiere. Like I sent her the script, and my heart was pounding. I'm like, if she doesn't, because if she's not on board already, then I think I'm steering the train to crash. I
Yeah.
can't do that to her out of respect for the book. But luckily, no, she was there, and she gave little notes here and there. She was very encouraging. She understood why I was doing some stuff, and she was very happy. So I sent her even cuts of the movie. So. But it was daunting because the book it takes place in the her head. So to translate that without using I would say a lazy voiceover, even though Trainspotting did it perfectly. Some movies nail it, but I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to open the movie with her voiceover, so I decided to just show, not tell.
What are we supposed to do?
This is not a test. Lock all doors and cover all windows.
No one's coming to save us.
Someone's in the school. Someone got in.
If you encounter anyone you suspect to be infected, do not attempt to assist them.
Oh my god. He's not breathing.
Carrie?
Yeah, and one of the things that we talk about sort of when it comes to like the opening of the movie, and I think there's a grand tradition of zombie movies where there are two ways you can open up a zombie movie. You can either show how great life is before everything happens and how sunny, and then all of a sudden everything goes out the window, or you
Yeah.
can take sort of the approach that both of the Dawn of the Dead movies do and 28 Days Later does, which is everything's awful immediately. You're thrown right into it. And this
Mm.
definitely belongs to that latter camp. So I was wondering for you what it's like to create one of these zombie movies that just starts in a very bleak place and then just gets progressively bleaker when you see how things have gotten.
Yeah, it's a good observation. Um, it's in the book, and it is bleak. I mean, the movie opens, and it's so intimate. Where she is, what she's doing is a personal, intimate thing, right? And she's alone, and she's so vulnerable. To then go to, what happens at the beginning, it opens up, it's just fucking chaos. And I like the idea is like, if you have this beautiful, idyllic, opening, it's like, oh no, we want to get back to that. That's what they're fighting for, like you're saying. Like it's beautiful, it's idyllic, it's wonderful, and then the whole world flips upside down, and we're fighting to, reach that again. I That's not in the book, and that didn't interest me. That wouldn't interest me. It does start dark. It gets a lot darker. It starts really dark in this one, to be fair, and then it gets progressively darker to only see the cracks of hope, the cracks of light. You know, what's that? You kick the wall enough, so that it bleeds light. That saying, that proverb. But so by the end, you're in a better place. Like that's the arc that it's in the book, and I wanted to convey in the movie.
Yeah, I have a feeling this is a film that, given the current state of the world that we're in, is going to speak to a lot of people
I hope so.
because, battling depression at a time when the world feels like it's on the complete brink of collapse is something that's kind of sadly timely. Is that something that was kind of on your mind while you were in the writing and directing process, or is that coming home a little bit more now that the film is getting closer to release?
I think that's up to the audience that sees it, how they interpret it. It wasn't on my mind. I mean, you could make it bigger or smaller, like it, you could, yeah, you could say it's an echo of what's happening today. And I would appreciate that too, in the sense that, yeah, the movie is saying something, it's speaking to you. That's why we're making movies. But for me, it was a total personal journey. It's the personal journey of Sloane. And I went through a very difficult period in my late teens that I almost didn't come out of. It's a long story, and that's what got me to read. Like when I read the book, I completely connected to Sloane. I understood what she's going through, so I could speak to it. And I said, well, this is a great cathartic way of explaining all this and going through it, and it was very like almost selfish of me to do it. And I was like, okay, I need this. I need to do this because I want to kind of um, use it in my art, I guess, in a way, right? And then if people make it bigger or people say, okay, her little microcosm of her world that it's upside down can be, feeling or like I said, echoed into the bigger picture, then that's fair too. That's fair too, because the end of the world going on around her is really the metaphor that's going on inside her, right? For me. But you can make it literal as well, for sure. And it is to the characters in the movie. In the movie, it is literal. So
No, I'm good.
Come on. Sometimes you gotta say what the fuck, right, Carrie?
Are we just gonna like pass it around or?
Drinking game?
Never have I ever cheated on a test.
Oh, I call bullshit.
When you're smart, you don't have to.
Okay, never have I ever had sex in the school bathroom.
Wait, what? What? Who? Actually, no, you know what? I don't want to fucking know. I hope they're fucking dead.
I got a chill when you said that. That's crazy.
Never have I ever been in love.
Your films have all had your features anyways have all had very strong female protagonists. They're all revolve around very well drawn, very intricate, intimate lives of these women, from backcountry up until now. And I was just wondering for you, where is that, Olivia comes into this and worked
yeah.
with you on this, and what it was like creating another very poignant female centered story.
It sounds like there's two questions there, but uh I I guess that's what interests me. I do have male-centered scripts as well that haven't been realized. We'll say, but I grew up with a very strong mother, that's part of the reason. And then my parents split and I lived with her. So she's had a big influence on me and she takes no shit. Like she's intense in that way, but she's great. And so very, 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 I grew up in that environment. So I have a lot of healthy respect for her that way. Um, and she's very creative too. Um, but I don't know. I mean, I think if she saw the movies I'd done before, maybe she felt safer to come on and like, I'll be taken care of that way. And maybe, I don't know. But we just look at it as people. Like, I don't like in my mind, I'm not going, okay, this is a female character. No, it's just a person. It's her character. It's her, the actor, and she's going to bring it. And she happens to be female. That's how I see it. And when she came on, she was phenomenal. She did her homework. She understood. And it was delicate though, because she's very talented and she's so professional. She is so professional. Like when she's needs to be there, she's right there, ready to go. Always like probably the most professional person I've ever worked with. And then knows how to disengage when she's ready. When she's done with the scene or something, she can kind of put it away. She steps back, and I thought that was very cool. Like she's very smart to do that because to carry the weight of this character the whole like being a method or something and carrying it consistently. I mean, it would have been absolutely exhausting. I don't know if she could have sustained it, probably, but no, she handled it so well. And then yeah, like she knew the book was personal to me, and she loved the book. She loved Courtney's book. She liked the character, something she wanted to play, and she showed up every day. So it makes my job easier. But while I'm working, like Reese is as important to me as Sloane, even though Sloane's the central character, and Carrie is as well. I love Carrie's character. Carrie's one of my favorite characters. They're all my favorite, but like when he comes on screen, he's electrifying. Carrie, I find, Courtney played him, and Carson too, and the twins. So, and then there's Luke. Like they all shine, right? But yeah, I guess it just happens to be that way. I guess so far. I just like Outcome the Wolves is just an excuse to work with Missy again, right?
Yeah.
Work so well together.
She has a little bit in this for people that might be paying attention.
Missy's in all my movies. She's the voice in Pyewacket. She's the emergency voice in Pyewacket, and she's the 911 operator in Pyewacket, emergency voice here. So she's in all my movies. But just to your question, like Pyewacket was a lot of my life. Like Leah was me as a teen at one point. And I purposely changed the gender because I just felt the mother-daughter would be much more interesting, or I would learn more too at the same time with what they were like, what Laurie would bring to it and what Nicole would bring to it. So they could bring their own stuff. So I would probably learn more that way. That's what I felt. And I felt the audience would be easier to look at and digest if it was a mother-daughter than it was mother-son. So, and it worked, I felt.
And I did want to talk about Luke in this briefly because he was unrecognizable. Like I did not realize it was him.
Oh, really?
For a while, and then it clicked. Like he just kind of disappears into this role that I think a lot of people wouldn't expect to see him in. So I was wondering what it was like bringing him in for this pivotal, really unnervingly ambiguous role.
Sybil brought him up, and I've seen his work, and I'm a fan of his work. I like his presence, but like you said, he wouldn't be like, he's not central casting for this kind of role. Like even like you'd want like I don't know, a schlub and whatever, like a classic teacher. You're just like, oh, of course that's the creepy teacher, right? But yeah, I don't. He just, I can't say enough about Luke because he just came on. It's like, okay, this is more interesting than the central casting thing, right? So we were talking about it. We met on Zoom. We talked about the character. He was very interested, and he had some, great ideas. But he committed. He committed when he showed up, and he brought his own gravitas to it. And I'm very grateful to him because yeah, it's shocking at first. And you see him at the table and he's eating, and his demeanor and how I've never seen him like that. But what really got me excited about Luke is like in the movie Bros, he has this monologue. He's lying on the bed. He has this beautiful monologue, and that rocked me. I was like, okay, this guy is so deep. If he gets the right things in his career to like play these characters, he could really. I feel the same way about Olivia. They can almost do anything. So when he proved it. Like he showed up, and I was just made my job so easy. Luke.
And the last question that I wanted to ask you is, this is another collaboration that you've done with Lee Malia doing the score.
Oh yeah.
And one of the things that I love about this and Pyewacket in particular is that I'm kind of a nerd for a great sound mix. And I think both of those movies, like I love the sound mix on this. I saw it at Toronto After Dark. This is a film that's really theater ready, and to see it in a theater is such a great thing. And I was just wondering for you what it was like collaborating with Lee again, and then working the score that he provides into the context of this really elaborate sound mix in these spaces where noises can kind of be coming from any direction.
I love talking about Lee because he's so talented. Like as soon as he'll be doing these major soundtracks, I'm sure I won't be able to work with him anymore. But no, but quickly, just to see how we connected, I had a song from Bring Me the Horizon, his band in backcountry when they're in the canoe. He was like a soundscape, a beautiful thing, and then we kind of connected, I think, on social media, and then I asked him, who wrote that song? I don't know what band member did, and he said I did. I said you wrote that song, you? And he's like, yeah. I said you've thought of soundtracks because it's so beautiful. And then my instinct was right. I mean, he's amazing. So working with him is really interesting because he doesn't come from a traditional, like he doesn't, come from soundtracks. He's not like maybe he's a classically trained musician. I don't think he is. But if you go into with someone who's done a bunch of soundtracks, they have a lot of tricks and tools, and they kind of repeat themselves, I think. Where Lee comes out with a completely different approach to the work. It's very unique, and that's what I wanted for Pyewacket. And then we worked on Out Come the Wolves together, and then now this one. But I'll tell you, the best thing about him is that he's a guitarist, right? And in the first two movies we did together, there's no guitar. We would talk about first, we're like, oh, what's the mood? What's this? It's more synth. We want these scapes. And sometimes I won't say anything. Like on Pyewacket, I was more prescriptive with him because it was his first feature, but he nailed it. And then we did Out Come the Wolves, and I was like, okay, try more things or whatever. And I was very open, but this is like the mood. Like he's very easy, very good to work with, very easy because we work well together. Because it's not like, oh, this has got to be this way, or he's very open. I'm open with him. But with this one, we tried something where he got the movie with the temp score, which I don't like doing. It's just more for me, and with none. It's like you do you find you do what you're feeling. And he kind of just pulled out some things sometimes. Like, when they go into the hallway and they kiss and they're in shadow and we push in, this weird sound happens, like this weird score. It's so beautiful. I almost fell off, fell off my chair. So he can do that. Like he'll do things that I'm like, I'm gobsmacked, to be honest. I tell him that too, not too much, but he should know that. But the beauty about Lee is that, he would know that the sound design is very important to me after the two movies we did together. I would say Jurassic Park is a big example of that, like that T-Rex attack. And that's the first time I really felt in the theater, also in Aliens. But like, holy shit, with the proper sound design, that's the movie.
Yeah.
It doesn't work without a good sound design. Like we spent so much time in the sound edit. The littlest thing, every grunt, every this, like we were there for like 2 weeks. I mean, like every second, so that it would feel like just a feast, for the ears, right? So we've weaved in, his sound mix, and it worked, and so his score, and it worked really well. And I would send Lee some stuff that we were doing, so he was aware of what we were doing. So we all worked well together. But I'll end on this with Lee. It was so great because I'm like, maybe in this movie, because it takes place in '98, you gotta let your guitar out a little bit. And like he was so good. But we had a temp song. I'll say I was just setting the mood. It was like a Nine Inch Nails song, and I was like just setting the mood. And he just like, I figured, he probably, I don't know if you're going to get that song or not, but I made one like it. Yeah. And you kind of like, because of his pedigree, because he comes from a major band, because he's a real, he understands that world and he writes those songs, he comes at it in a way that you're like, what the, wow. Like he sent me the song. I didn't ask for it. He just sent it. And I was like, I'm going to use that. Forget the temp. Like it's in the movie. It opens up the credits. That's all Lee. Or we had another song in the car when they're driving, and he, supposed to be like a Deftone type song, and he'd pull out that. If you've seen the movie, I can't say enough about Lee. I feel like he's like my secret weapon in the sound.